It could barely be any closer. A single point separates our top two heading into the final round, and on top of that, we're at a track that has only seen one race in this series previously, and where track position is king. It's going to be tense as we get ready to watch round 12 of the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and joining me in the booth is Roush Racing driver Joey Atterbury. Behind the scenes, our director Daniel Costello, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. With Thruxton being so new to iRacing, in case you're unfamiliar, let's head to our track guide. Welcome to Thruxton Circuit. Like many British tracks, it originated as an airfield and turned out to be ideal for motor racing after the war. However, unlike many circuits with those roots, the runways themselves were less of a basis for the layout than the service roads surrounding them. The 3.8 kilometers, or 2.35 miles, is split up by a mere 12 corners, and most are long, fast, flowing turns. Indeed, the only two major braking zones are chicanes added at the start and end of the lap. And even these are distinctly different, with Campbell, Cobb, and Seagrave being more open, while Club is tight and compact. The fast nature and small size means touring cars and lower-level open-wheelers are the main staple of this place, along with the British tradition of motorcycle racing. But notably, Damon Hill once brought his Williams FW15C and set a 57-second lap back in 1993. Sat almost perfectly split between Bristol and London, it's a highly accessible track on the south end of the island. Plus, having been open since 1950, it's garnered a pretty passionate fan base. Joining a slew of UK circuits on iRacing, it will no doubt please sim racers just as much here in the virtual world. Well, this place definitely follows the sort of airfield turned racetrack aesthetic a lot of tracks do from England, Joey.
It's going to be a pretty interesting race that we've got here at the Thruxton circuit today. 12 turns in length, 2.35 miles total. And if you look at it, it's pretty much an egg shaped out here with a couple of chicanes thrown in. It is all going to be about keeping the momentum around these long sweeping corners. And then Joe, of course, being aggressive into those chicane sections.
And the championship, as we alluded to, is going to be on the line today. It is tight up at the top. A single point between Togo Hisada and Pauli Partanen. And to complicate things, there's bonus points. And don't forget, they have drop weeks. There is a 119-point drop for Togo Hisada. That is how consistent he and Pauli have been, both of them on the podium for the vast majority of this season. So watch out for them. Everybody else is obviously still tussling hard, but it's mostly for fifth place that you can see Freckleton, Spickett, Reed, Kuhnhart, all at least relatively close down there. It gets a little separated, although Disson and Freesia could swap positions, but it'll take something dramatic for them to wind up in different spots after this one. Real quick, Joey, why don't you run us through the race details?
We are here for the final round of this season. Round number 12 of 12 is what we're going to be doing here at the Thruxton circuit. And everybody is going to be doing 34 laps around this place. Yes, it is a high-strung, fast lap. In fact, I see provisional pole under 1 minute in terms of that lap time. An open setup as always, so come join the community. Everybody is always willing to get everybody up to speed and fast in terms of that pace. In terms of the drive-through penalties, 17 incident points will get you one. A disqualification at 25 incident points today, Joe.
And to complicate things even further, neither Hisada nor Pauli Partanen are on pole. Now that simplifies the math a little bit, obviously, but what it does mean is that they're going to have to fight hard without having a clear track in front of them, at least at the start, which it looks like we're ready to head to that starting grid for today. Timothy Reed on the pole with Pauli Partanen on the front row, so he could steal that clean track if he manages to outgun Tim at the line. Kjell Einar Svensson going to be starting in third, with Togo Hisata down in fourth, directly behind his rival. What's that going to look like? Kimmo Viekainen will be fifth, and Dylan Freckleton sixth today. Philip Kuhnhart, P7, and you've got Aaron Blair in P8, Jack Wells starting ninth, and Fabien Villet will round out your top 10.
In 11th, we've got Daniel Gallus. Next to him is going to be Karthik Pai in 12th place. Jean-Francois Boscus in 13th. Kevin Verbruggen in 14th spot. Luca Monroe starting in 15th with Barry West in 16th. Taylor Lane 17th. Mickey Friesen 18th. Jason Clapper 19th. And then Guillermo Diaz is rounding out our 20 cars that we've got here for the Lotus 79 field. And Joe, just something real quick before we kind of get to the standing start. Pauli Partanen has been king on these launches from the dead get-go. Togo Hisata has kind of struggled with him lined up directly behind. Now's the chance for Togo to kind of follow the hammer through.
So if he can get that start down, you're right. He could manage to make this a one-on-one fight up there. Both of them maybe trying to get past Timothy Reed. But this is a lot of what-ifs that hopefully we'll be answering in just a few moments' time. A smaller field of 20 cars is probably for the best. A track that sees a sub-1 minute lap time for the fastest drivers as they're all out on the grid. The engines start to rev for the final race of the season. The lights are up and the green flag is out. And it is a good start for both second and third place. Kimmo Viekainen behind, also trying to gain. Oh, in fact, contact is Kimmo is going to slip backwards a little bit here, but they head up into Campbell, Cobb, and Seagrave. Who's going to make it through this first chicane?
Togo Hisata was crucially able to get that third place in terms of the track position. Kimmo Viekainen had a huge wiggle coming out of turn number one. Thankfully, Togo did not get collected as Kimmo kind of slides down into what is fifth place right now. And look at how frantic it is. There's a side-by-side move. Jack Wells and Philip Kuhnhart going at it.
Philip has to take to the grass to try and avoid. Tires are still cold out here, and you can see it is a cloudy morning right now. Some of the drivers struggling to find the grip around this extremely fast track with few slow corners. Down through Church, one of the quickest on the circuit. One driver going completely four wheels off. I think that was Villet.
And you see how long these corners are, and then just a couple chicanes kind of thrown in, and trust me, Barney is watching out there. Here comes a move from Kimmo. You saw Svensson kind of get a little bit out of shape there at the end of lap number one. Kimmo slides to the inside, moves himself back up into that fourth place position.
As it stands right now, it's pretty simple math. Partanen leading, Togo in third. Partanen would take the championship. There is 2 bonus points for the fastest lap, but that would not be enough for Togo to try and beat him on that one. As we continue to follow Viekainen try to make his way back up through. At least he's actually up one from where he started, so he's made up for a little bit of a loss at the beginning of the race. Looking back at Kevin Verbruggen now way down the order compared to what we're used to seeing with him sitting in 15th.
You had mentioned Kimmo Viekainen just before we started talking about Kevin here, and I want to give props to Kimmo because he had a huge moment on the exit of turn number one on lap number one, had a huge tank slapper, had to collect the car, and who was next to him, Joe? Togo Hisata, the guy that we're talking about trying to win this championship. So I think Togo probably is going to go up to Viekainen afterwards and say, thank you so much for that lap one, just giving me a little bit of room and allowing me to survive.
And critically, as you can see, Togo is now up into P2. 1.6 seconds. That's the gap he has to make up on Pauli Partanen. But we have seen him run him down before, Joey. So here is the pass here. Just a slow exit from Timothy Reed, I think, out of Church.
See here, Togo goes to the left side and honestly not even challenged from Timothy Reed in that red number 6 car. So I think Tim knows exactly what's going on in terms of the championship battle. Doesn't want to get in the middle of it. And now it's just a fair fight between Pauli and Togo. See who's the fastest today.
As they sit right now, Partanen would still take the championship, finishing ahead of him. And Togo's going to have to do some work and try to get by him. Meanwhile, Daniel Gallus back here under threat from Taylor Lane, while also looking at Villet just in front of him, coming into the club chicane to wrap up the lap. Just a tight little thing to end this before you get to the, well, very curved front straight.
And on board here with Taylor Lane and this number 13 car, weave it around to this slight left-hander before we get to what is actual turn number 2 and then 3 here. Cobb corner, you really got to nail the exit here. Kind of feeds you into this right-hander, and now it is just all hammer down, up through the gears, and it really shows you why Thruxton is so fast with these long corners.
Yeah, not really a track that was meant for F1 cars of this caliber, so it's going to be a difficult and unique one, to say the least. They've only run it once before. Last season was the first time. So there is some experience as Kimmo Viekainen versus Timothy Reed. Sees him trying around the outside, coming into the first apex, has the second apex, and actually gets into the gearbox of Reed coming out of the corner, and that's going to slow him down. Now Svensson's got a good shot at maybe trying to go at him.
I think that Kimmo's got a fast car. He is very, very aggressive here in the early stages. He's already made up a couple spots there in terms of being shuffled around on that opening lap, and was able to close in that gap between himself and Timothy Reed rather quickly. Now, I know that Svensson in that white and orange car basically gobbled it up as well, but I do think that this white and purple machine is the fastest of the bunch. Just got to catch Timothy Reed in the right spot.
Another thing that's going to be fun, speaking of the cloudy weather we've got, look at the slide from Viekainen touching the grass.
That was at 155 miles an hour, Joe.
and he's acting like nothing happened. He didn't even lose time. This is amazing. Kimmo's on a mission today. He's going to give another go at Timothy Reed here as they head into the final chicane one more time, trying to set himself up for the exit, but it looks like he has botched it. Svensson once again close behind.
Let's see here. Now I'm going to put on my tinfoil hat. I always love to kind of make guesses on these setups here. Is pretty much right on the drone camera of Viekainen. Got to get on the brakes here. You see how Svensson's able to close it in? Oh, Reed a little bit wide there. That's definitely going to put him on the back foot in terms of the acceleration phase. I think that Kimmo's actually running a little bit of a lower downforce setup, which should help him in these top-end speed corners, but it actually suffers a little bit when it gets to those slow chicanes where you got to be aggressive on the brakes.
And you can definitely tell that because he seems so quick in this portion, so good call. As they head through Church once again. This is going to be where he really needs that run. He knows it, and so does Timothy Reed. He balks him at the apex, prevents him from getting the momentum. Doesn't matter. He'll get the inside coming down to the club once again. Question is, can he get the job done? And it looks like he finally has.
Yeah, that was nice. I was going to say racing between the two of them. Timothy Reed definitely knew that Kimmo was there. It was attempt number 2. He kind of left him a little bit more room, and thankfully Viekainen was able to clear him. And now he has got some fresh, clean air. Let's see about this apex here. This is where Timothy Reed ran really, really wide there this previous lap. And if anything, he actually looks a little bit more tidy now than Viekainen.
So Timothy Reed will try his best to get back across, but it's going to be harder without the top-end speed that it seems the Finn has over him. And plus, he still has Svensson close behind, ready to try and capitalize on any mistakes. Once again, drivers going so wide through some of these corners. The ultra-fast Church, is wide open as there goes Svensson through.
I think that Reed had to lift when he got those tires in the dirt on the exit there. It kind of halted his momentum, and Svensson was close enough that he was able to just keep it flat foot and able to pass Timothy Reed. So unfortunately, 2 positions now lost for Timothy in this single lap. And you got to be careful because I do see that purple machine of Dylan Freckleton, and he's got a whole train behind him, including Wells, Coonhart, and company.
An update on that title fight. Togo has at times been quicker than Pauli, but it has been a back and forth between them, each swapping fast laps out there. And you can tell that they know what is at stake on this one because they are unleashing everything they've got to try and come away with the win. Meanwhile, Timothy Reed, again, looking to recover after being demoted 2 positions, really 3 positions if you think about it, since early on. Pauli took that lead away, but Timothy's been kind of dropping as we check out Philip Coonhart now versus Jack Wells.
See about this battle here is Jack Wells trying to get around Philip in this red and white machine. Can try to poke his nose out to driver's left side. I think that was more Philip kind of dissuading Jack to not throw it down the inside of this final chicane here. Is a little bit more action a little bit further back. I think this is Taylor Lane, as well as Daniel Gallus, Fabian Vallet in this one as well. Dominoes. I'm kind of hungry, Joe.
I am too now, yeah, honestly. As we ride on board with them coming up to Campbell. Again, it is a chicane, not quite as tight as what we see at the end of the lap. Some of them willing to take the curves a little bit more than others. Taylor Lane, obviously, one of those not afraid of clobbering a few here and there.
Now he's just got to sit in the slipstream. This is that area of the racetrack where you've got this fast left known as turn number 5, Noble Corner, and then this is the corner. It's not really, actually, I guess it is turn number 6, but don't get out too wide. That's where we've seen Timothy Reed kind of flirt with the exit of the track, and if you have to lift in this section, you are killing all your momentum. 170 miles an hour, 175 miles an hour now that they are straight and not using any of that downforce, just sitting in the slipstream. And unfortunately, it seems like Taylor Lane just doesn't have the top end speed compared to Fabian in front of him.
Seems to be the key part of this track today, just making sure to trim out the car, getting those opportunities. Otherwise, it's proving difficult as they slide through Allard Corner to start the lap and then slow it up once again here into Campbell. Got a nice little battle with Jason Clapper versus Barry West. That, as West nearly loses it through the first turn, but picks it back up. That'll give Jason 19th.
The big cat put his claws out and got some traction back there on the track as, oh no, Luca Monroe is way out here in the grass trying to find a gear. I wonder if he's got any sort of damage out there. Couple of cars falling by the wayside a little bit early on, but Pauli Partanen still in command right now. That was a 1.5 second gap when Togo got into second place, and it has slowly dwindled down. It is not coming down in big chunks. For instance, this last lap, Partanen a 1 minute .90. Togo Hisada a 1 minute .87. So Togo, is he faster? Yes, but by only 0.03 of a second last lap.
Well, and remember how I said his results were consistent. His laps are consistent. Listen to this. 1876 as we see Luca Monroe lose the car. 1876, 1879, 1878. I mean, Togo is on rails right now.
It's pretty impressive, but I can probably say the same thing for Partanen. Yes, Togo is closing it in, but it's back up to 1.4 seconds. So what was 1.2 seconds, it was kind of still floating there in that 1.2 to 1.5 range. And when we talk about the sim here in iRacing, in my opinion, that's kind of the excruciatingly close, but not close enough range where you don't get any slipstream.
Could definitely see these cars sliding around a lot, a testament to how much they've trimmed out the wings and try to get as much speed as they can out of them. Because usually they like to be glued to the track. But the Japanese driver is trying desperately not to lose this championship at the final round. Kimmo Viekainen, in the meantime, has fallen about 6 seconds behind that battle for the lead. That's been kind of typical for this season as those top two have really been running away. But it's still Svensson and Reed separated by barely anything between them to fight for third.
If anything, I think that Viekainen's kind of getting slowed up from these two cars that are trying to get past him, which you love to see, right? Svensson providing a great fight. Timothy Reed hasn't gone anywhere. Remember, Tim was kind of leading this group, but then got shuffled back a little bit. He has not lost touch. But look at the last lap time, Joe. A 101.13 out of Kimmo Viekainen. That's less than 1/10 of a second behind our leaders. I do have a feeling that if this pack didn't get separated, he had the performance to run up with our leaders here today.
It's going to be a lot of asking what if for Kimmo Viekainen. Maybe he could have played a part in this battle for the title if he had just gotten off the line a little bit better for them. Meanwhile, back into the first chicane they go with Partanen trying his best to run away, getting a pretty good exit, honestly. Svensson now losing lots of track position.
And this is a tough position for Svensson, right? You're trying to keep up with that white and purple car in front of you, trying to do everything you can in terms of that outright performance of nailing every single apex. But if you do make a mistake, you got a car directly in your rearview mirror, that red number 6. So it's a little bit like a pressure cooker back there. If you make a mistake, you're going to get past, and if you make a mistake, you're going to lose the slipstream from the guy in front of you.
Coming back to Taylor Lane yet again, Fabian just in front of him. This is that run through Church, around Brooklands, and into Club. Let's see what happens as they hit the brakes into there. Seems a little too far back for Lane this time. They're also not that far behind Aaron Blair, which has been the case for a number of laps. So that was a little wide for Taylor coming off the chicane. If they can maybe work together for a little bit longer, they could both get another position, crack into the top 10.
Got some company, like you said, directly in front. Not only Aaron Blair, but I think I see Karthik Pai directly in front of Aaron as well. So a nice little four-pack going down the road right here. And we haven't talked much about the dirty air that these cars can pick up. I also wonder, Joe, with how long some of these corners are and how fast they are, I wonder if we're going to see some understeer tire wear out of that front left tire. That's really the side of the car, the corner that you're leaning on the most. And we typically talk about tire wear and managing the tires. They will come back to you, but if you're constantly abusing one, are the drivers thinking about it?
That's a good point, yeah. How many long right-hand turns do we have? And what are those tires going to look like at the end of the race? We'll have to wait and see, especially for those that are fighting so closely together in these early stages. It's not a close fight yet for Togo. He's rebounded. He's got 3 more 1-flat-8s under his belt after a brief 101 blip. But Partanen has done 108s and 109s consistently. So he's just keeping it arm's length away from Togo Hisada, preventing him from truly getting within striking range.
He's getting closer, but he made a mistake this lap. So he was down to about 8.5 tenths back, maybe about 9 tenths back, and then going through the first chicane kind of slipped up just a touch there. And fell back to that 1.2 seconds-ish as they come out of the final corner here and out onto this rounded front straightaway, down to 1.0 seconds. So I'm seeing some talk in the chat here with Craig King and Mick Claridge also saying that Powley's a little bit faster in one chicane, Togo's a little bit faster in the second chicane. Wonder who's going to come out on top. I mean, we're coming up about halfway here.
So that was the closest we'd seen him, but it slips back to 1.2 again, and there's that first chicane. Like you were just saying, that was where he seems to have lost the time. And lap 16 out of 34, yeah, just about halfway through this race, Togo has got to make a serious indent, I think. If he keeps staying at this distance away, the opportunities are going to start becoming slim to none.
Agree, and the longer you wait to get into that dirty air, the more your tires are going to be, call it tired. At that point, they're not going to want to give you that full maximum grip as Tim still trying to get around Svensson here, just can't seem to find a way around this white and orange machine. You see Svensson barrel it up over the curb, but Lotus 79 seems to be able to take that no problem. And just real fast, I do want to give a shout out to Craig King over here. I know that he's working the points behind the scenes for us, but he has been one of the main voices here of the 79s all season long. Did a terrific job, pretty much giving us the call to the championship round here. So thank you so much for being a part of it, Craig.
Yeah, I love that we were able to have Craig as kind of our stand-in when Joey and I couldn't be around to call the series. He's done a fantastic job, and honestly, we couldn't have asked for a better storyline throughout this season being shown on iRacing proper, their official channel. They have been rewarded with perhaps one of the best title fights we have ever seen here in the Lotus 49s, and it comes down to the last race of the season. Aaron Blair, what's happened to him in the mid-pack as he takes a little bit too much of one curb, and with the last one, and the rear comes around.
Yeah, unfortunate there for Aaron. I was just talking about how Svensson went bounding up and over that final chicane curbs, and he seems to get away with it, but I think it's about keeping probably 3 tires on the ground. If you get all 4 tires, it really seems to upset the platform of the car, but Svensson is able to kind of jump up and over those curbs. Aaron Blair, unfortunately, not able to, as Kevin Verbruggen looks to be picking up another spot here.
Doesn't quite do it. Blair will stay ahead of him. Verbruggen tries to slot back in behind. The car struggles to slow up in that dirty air. The kind of classic Jordan livery 7-Up on that machine. Not doing him any good at this stage to try and chase down that number 16. But we'll see if he can maybe resize him up and go for another chance later.
Yeah, Kevin's got a lot of air miles recently. He's had the Lotus 49 out at the Charlotte Roval yesterday morning, and here he is at Thruxton, the Lotus 79. Hopped on that virtual Concorde, Joe.
Yeah, seems to have gotten his practice in as well. Jason Clapper not making the inroads we typically see out of him. Only up 2 spots this time. This is top split out of 2 that we've got here in the Lotus 79s today. And usually he tends to charge up from the back, having failed to set a qualifying time, which he didn't do this time yet again. But it looks like it's a little bit more difficult as the car goes all kinds of sideways on him.
It has got a lot of horsepower, and you got to keep it nice and stable on the ground. Jason Clapper sliding all around behind Jean-Francois Boscus right here. Almost 2 identical liveried cars out there with the, I can never say this word, Marlboro. I think that's about how it's said. But Jason Clapper, I'm actually surprised, Joe. He hasn't been able to move up nearly what we usually see out of him.
Yeah, it's been struggling. So the car of Jean-Francois Boscus proving a bit of a blockage right now. A different Marlboro scheme on that car as we come back up to Philip Kleinhardt once again. This time it's Dylan Freckleton ahead of him. Philip back to where he started this race. Same thing with Dylan there in 6th position. Can he manage to get by that purple car as Dylan's been having an excellent season, sitting 5th in the points?
It's got to be a frustrating race for Dylan, too, because he's got lots of speed, but he's just kind of stuck back there in no man's land as we check back in with Svensson, Reed, and Viekainen leading this trio right here. And you're right, Timothy Reed did get by Svensson.
I think that just happened recently. So up back to 4th he goes. That gives Viekainen maybe a little more wiggle room in front of him. What's it going to look like coming down into the chicane as they head up towards this final entry? And I think he's just, I thought he was a little too far back. Svensson says, no, I'm not. Goes for the move, doesn't quite make it stick, cuts back underneath him, looks for the exit, and I don't think it's quite there. Meanwhile, here is how they wound up in this position.
Let's watch this small picture-in-picture screen. Oh, Svensson went for an aggressive move on Viekainen, and Kimmo promptly shut the door as he should. That's typically not where you make a passing opportunity stick. So a little bit opportunistic from Svensson. Timothy Reed was able to take advantage and actually look at kind of the chain reaction from it. What was 2.5 seconds of a gap back to 6th place. Dylan Freckleton is now sitting there, and looks like Togo Hisada is also within slipstream range.
Ooh, this could be fun if they make it even bigger of a fight up there. So Hisada, like you said, now down to 0.7 of a second at times. Let's see what it looks like across the line this time. Look at the correction behind the wheel as the Japanese driver puts on what is almost a traditional drift out of him in every single car we see him race in.
This is where it's going to get extremely difficult for Togo Hisada. I think that since we're in the last, call it 3rd of the race, you've used up the majority of the good on your tires. Now, that doesn't mean that Togo hasn't been managing them, making sure that he's got the good stuff for the end. But since it is kind of in that later stage of the race, you're now trying to attack, and you're now going to have to go through that dirty air, so you're asking even more from your tires. We're going to see if this Lotus 79 can back up Togo's inputs and get him right up to Pauli Partonen.
Love watching the onboards in this car and getting to see a comparison of both of them. Let's see if it's just as slippery this time. Last time there was a lot of correction coming through the club chicane from Hisada, at least on the exit. And off of there, that looked a little bit smoother from both of them. Togo still having to do a bit of counter steering to get it to straighten out.
1 minute point 64 from Togo Hisada, the race's fastest lap so far. Pauli Partonen with a 1 minute point 777, so about a 10.5 of a second slower. And through this first chicane, let's see if Pauli can put the power to the ground. Yes, he can. So what was about 3/4 of a second, now about 9/10 of a second.
And let's not forget that for Pauli, this would be another one of his titles, but for Togo, it would be a first in the Lotus 79. He's taken multiple over in the Lotus 49 series, although it's been a couple seasons having been bested by Audrius Valenteus. I'm sure he is hungry to show that he is quick in this car too over the course of the season, be able to take his first title here in this more recent of the two Lotuses. This time across the line, Can he improve on that fastest lap once again? Yes, he can, down to the 1:5s now.
Yeah, he is definitely on a mission right now, hunting down the lead. And to play on your point of where these drivers have come from, they're both kind of part of the cool kids group, but Togo's over in the 49s, right? He's got multiple championships over in the Lotus 49s, and yes, he has dabbled in the Lotus 79s, but he hasn't dedicated himself to this season other than what we are seeing right here with these 12 rounds. And Pauli Partanen, well, guess what? He's been the cool kid on the block here in the Lotus 79 for years and years. You know that he doesn't want the new kid showing up and dethroning him, especially in the first season, Joe.
And behind them, I just noticed that Freckleton has caught up to Svensson, and they bring along Kuhnhart with him. So that's going to be an interesting one, battling for fifth. We don't obviously want to lose too much sight of the battle for the lead, but this has been so much fun to witness here. What is now, well, no, it is still a battle for third, kind of. They're only about a second behind Reed, so they haven't really been dropped yet.
Joe, things are about to get interesting. Our leaders are running up on some lap traffic, although it's just a single car right now. I see the big cat directly in front of Pauli Partanen, but that's just a variable as we watch this train. These cars are constantly in dirty air. Our leaders have not had to deal with any dirty air. Is this going to be a tripping point for Pauli Partanen when he runs up on Barry West, or is he going to be able to get through efficiently?
Big question. Also, thank you to Michael de Turk. And note, he did compete last season, did every race we're hearing, and finished third. So he's kind of paid his dues in a way, but honestly, still very much a newcomer compared to many of the drivers here. And I'm really impressed the way he has adapted to this car, which races so differently. And this is now on. This is now very much on. 0.3 of a second between him. He is there.
Absolutely. The fight is on with 9 laps remaining. Who is going to win this championship with the Lotus 79 machines? Is it going to be Pauli Partanen, who's a returning champion who knows these cars, or is it going to be Togo Hisada, the Lotus 49 champion, multiple-time champion who's now dabbling in these 79 cars? Has really been one of the strongest drivers all season long, has taken the fight to Pauli. These two guys have gone round for round, knocking each other out of the first position spot. Who is going to take home the trophy at the end of these 8.5 laps?
So here is where it gets even more interesting. We're getting more info from Craig King. He says if Togo gets the lead, he needs the fastest lap. Otherwise, they wind up in a tie. And
so what's the tiebreaker?
Well, yeah, that's what they're trying to figure out right now. He and Mick, I think, are trying to furiously roll through the rule book here and find out how this is supposed to work. We've never had this situation.
It's fantastic. I guess that Mick Claridge is probably firing up that old barbecue, digging through the charcoals, trying to figure out exactly where the fine print is, huh?
Oh boy, this is a wild one. We could, like I said earlier, we couldn't have asked for a better finish for coverage here on iRacing's official channel. 8 laps to go. Togo's still there, but he's fallen back a little bit.
And I know that we talk about the championship point scenario, and that's ultimately what they're fighting for, but at the same time, we have to remind ourselves, look at what's happening on the screen right here at Thruxton. Oh, Togo, a little bit of a slip on those rear tires, lose a little bit of ground, but this is a fantastic fight we have for a race win. Throw away the championship. Who's going to come home first to the checkered flag? And that most likely will also settle our championship.
Credit to Pauli. He did part of the job in qualifying, put it on the front row, and then off the start, taking that lead away. I mean, he has just been ruling this race from the get-go, although it's been under immense pressure. Meanwhile, back with Kimmo Viekainen sitting in third. Timothy Reed has caught back up to him. Svensson has come along, and they've dropped Dylan Freckleton. So these three have picked it back up.
Kimmo's last lap time, a 1:85. So just still continuing that rocket ship pace out of this white and purple machine. I do want to give extreme credit, though, to Timothy Reed. That's that red number 6 car. Remember, he was actually in front of this trio early on in the race, got shuffled back to be the caboose, and now he's past Svensson and putting the pressure back on Kimmo Viekainen. It's not always easy to do as a race car driver when you lose all that track position. Tim's done a really good job today.
Yeah, definitely has been on a good recovery. Ooh, speaking of recovery, great run off the final corner, but it's not a long enough straightaway up to Allard. So he has to sit behind once again. Could be. I wonder if maybe Timothy just has a car that's a little bit stronger towards the end of the race.
Yeah.
It certainly looks strong in the braking zones.
Well, let's go back to what we noticed between the downforce levels. It could be finally coming into play here. So if you've got a car that grips up better on that front left tire, Timothy Reed's going to have the confidence to go through those corners now. While Kimmo Viekainen, if he used up those tires and he's starting to slide around because of a slightly lower downforce, it could be coming into play for Timothy Reed.
Look down the inside from Togo Hisada. He's back on top of it once again. He fell back for just a little bit, but he seems to be able to remake the ground relatively easily. 5 laps to go. Togo has done the hard work. He's gotten there, but now that he's there, how does he get by?
It's tricky, right? He constantly shows his nose into this first chicane here, but he kind of suffers in terms of putting the power down. Pauli does such a nice job standing on the gas right there and is able to kind of squirt away by about 1 car length over Hisada there. So time is starting to run out. It's going to come down from a mistake out of Partanen. Can Togo go up there and force that mistake?
That's the big question. Coming up to church once again. This is where we see Togo with his little bit higher top speed start to close in bit by bit. Coming up to club. Just a little bit too far away, but we know this chicane is where his car is that little bit stronger. He sends it in deep, gets right up underneath that rear wing, tries to get the throttle down coming off, but it's not quite there.
Yeah, we got more lap traffic. I believe that's Guillermo Diaz just in front of our leaders. As big defensive move. Oh, contact between Reed and Viekainen going into that final chicane, and Reed has to take the long way around, loses some positions.
Down to 5th he goes. He'll have to give some of that time back for cutting the course, but I think it won't be too much more than he already has. And Freckleton will try and pick up the pieces from that one and get back on top of him. Speaking of which, Svensson, oh no, Svensson just spun. There he is at the side of the track, and now he loses multiple spots.
It is all unraveling in the final stages of this race. Unfortunate for Timothy Reed, and now unfortunate for Einar Svensson back here as he's back on the racetrack, but loses all that spot that he had earned all race long.
Kicking himself on that one, but that's the way the cookie crumbles, especially in the 49s. At this level, you need to be absolutely on every single mark, every turn in to try and get the finish that you want out here. We've got a bit of a replay on what happened with Timothy Reed coming into that last chicane. And you said, was there contact in this?
Yes. So Kimmo goes defensive, and then as they arc it in, this is not a straight brake zone. So Timothy Reed's trying to arc it into the corner, just kind of slightly misjudges it, clips the left rear of Kimmo, and goes the long way around.
So as they come back to the leaders, it's back up to 0.6 of a second now. Partanen able to pull away. I think, yeah, they have gone by Diaz, so I wonder if that traffic may have helped him out just a hair. It's coming down to 2 laps to go. I cannot imagine the nerves inside of both of these cockpits right now.
Let's see how they navigate this final chicane. You got to keep it inch perfect out there on the racetrack, and all the attitude that I see out of Pauli Partanen, our leader, is he is on the knife edge. I mean, he is loose in the middle of the corner. He barely snaps it back onto the racetrack for the exit. So one little overstep, overcorrection. Togo Hisada is going to be right there. This is the crucial corner where Pauli's just able to put the power down, and once again, half a car length. But Joe, this is actually closer than what Togo Hisada has been all race long.
This what he's been looking for. Chances are slipping through his fingers now. They'll get the white flag last time by. Look at the tiny correction coming out of Goodwood. Once again, down into church they fly. I don't think he's close enough, though. He looks a little far away. We'll start to see him gain as that rear wing gets closer and closer. in front of his car, but no, they hit the chicane and he's not there yet.
Well, look at how much he closes here. Let's see about this third apex. Pauli wags the tail, puts the power down, 5 car lengths between them to settle the championship with 1 lap remaining.
It's down to less than a minute left in this season here in the Lotus 79s. Who is going to come away with it as they enter into the first chicane? Once again, this is where we've seen Togo have so many problems, have struggles to try and find the speed that his Finnish compatriot has managed to find. He starts to lose a couple car lengths. Is that going to make the decision?
It is all going to come down to sitting in the slipstream. Can Togo's machine close it up? Remember that final chicane, it arcs to the right. Can he shortcut it and make a lunge?
This is for all the marbles right here. The run coming out of it. It's a very good run coming from Togo Hisada. He starts to gain. Will he try and send it up the inside? He's getting close there. Surely there's going to be an attempt. He tries to get it to the apex first, but he's not there, and he misses out. Ahead of him, Pauli Partanen has withstood the pressure. He is going to take the championship with the final win of the season.
Look at those happiness wiggles out of Pauli Partanen. He hangs on to it. Togo Hisada threw everything that he possibly could into that club chicane. Kimmo Viekainen's going to round out our podium, but Togo went down the inside really, really deep. Pauli Partanen left him just a smidge of room. Togo slid wide. Partanen was able to put the power down and win today's race at Thruxton.
And I have to say big credit to both of them for great racing, especially Togo. Didn't leave a thing on the table. He gave it his all, and I think he should be proud of the result this season because he was up against the best as Friesen takes it at the line at about 0.08 of a second ahead of, Gallus takes it over Friesen, ahead of him right at the finish. That's going to give us our results, and it sees Pauli Partanen not only take the win here today, but take the title. Togo Hisada did get fastest lap, but we'll double check. I don't think that's going to be enough. We'll have Craig crunch the numbers for us. Kimmo Viekainen was P3 today with Dylan Freckleton in 4th and Timothy Reed coming home with what might be a bit of a disappointing 5th after starting on pole. Philip Kuhnhart was 6th today. Kjell Einar Svensson slipped all the way down to 7th after his late race mistake. 8th goes to Jack Wells, and Karthik Pai was 9th. Fabian Villette was 10th.
And then in 11th place, we've got Kevin Verbruggen back here. Daniel Gallus finishing in what is 12th spot. Mickey Friesen in 13th. Jason Clapper, 14th position. Jean-Francois Boscus in 15th. Then in 16th, we've got Taylor Lane, followed up with Aaron Blair in 17th. And then comes the cars one lap down, which includes Guillermo Diaz, Luca Monroe, and Barry West, rounding out our 20-car field today.
So I believe we're still waiting on Togo, so I think we'll have to wait a little bit before we get to talk to our champion. First up, though, let's talk to Kimmo Viekainen, who had plenty to go over in this race with action nonstop. Kimmo, let's start at the very beginning of the race. You had a little bit of a slip up there. What happened? And talk to us about the recovery.
Yeah, I don't know what happens with Einar there on the first corner. I thought it's going to be flat out, but I think he lifted a little bit and we lost the place to Togo, but it was a fun race after that.
Yeah, so you had multiple drivers, both ahead and behind, fighting. I don't think I've seen as much of Svensson around. Are you as familiar with racing against him?
I'm not actually, but I have seen that he's been racing this series a lot lately, and I've been away for a few weeks, but it was nice to battle with him, and also pretty good driver.
Now, if you had managed to not make that slip up, do you think you could have fought with Togo and Pauli potentially for the win? Because you did seem fast when you were in clear air.
Not a chance. Those guys were super fast this season, so I don't have a clue how to manage the race like they do. And big congrats to both of them because they had an awesome season together and racing like no before in this series.
Well, again, congratulations on a podium and fantastic drive today.
Thanks, guys.
Viekainen finishing third. And now we've got a special one. We did get confirmation on points. Pauli Partsinen is your champion. We have him with us along with second place, Togo Hisada. First off, we'll start with Pauli. Congratulations on the win and the title. How shot are your nerves right now? That looked like amazing pressure.
Yeah, it was super big pressure, and yeah, huge respect to Toko. He was insanely fast whole season and pushed me to the limits every race, and also this race too. Like I really had to push everything I had in me, and yeah, the competition was super close and clean whole season, and as you can see today that it was super close. Like we were like just behind each other at the end. So yeah, but today it just went my way, and I could easily see that this could have been the other way, because we are so tight together that usually the quali sets the tone for the race, and I had a better quali, but maybe if Toko had better quali, it have been way easily other way. So super close, great season, great friend to drive with, and yeah, I had super fun.
I love the camaraderie between you two. And Togo, what are your emotions after coming so close to taking a championship in another Lotus series?
Yeah, very frustrating. But first, huge congrats to the Pauli Partner. It's been a blast, very close all the season, and I still a lot of skills, lot of setup things, lot of techniques and tips from the Pauli's race and Pauli's run. So I think we are close friends right now. Congrats Pauli, congrats. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, we also have the special news from iRacing that the Lotus 79 going to be getting the wet tire next time out and be able to race in the rain. Pauli, Japanese drivers known for having to race a lot in the rain. Do you think the Finnish skills on loose surfaces will help counteract that?
Yeah, we got the rally skills, so I'm not worried at all. But yeah, I won't be racing next season, so I will be missing the rain, but most likely I will just test in private sessions how it works. But I can imagine Lotus 79 is super hard to drive even on the dry track, and imagine it has a wet tire with less grip, and the wet tracks, it sounds very challenging, and I'm sure it's fun. So Japanese know the wet driving and we know rally, so let's see how it goes.
Well, Joey Atterbury wants to know real quick, Pauli, are you still going to be promoting the series socially? Because he calls you the voice of the Lotus 79.
Yeah, we will see. We will see. I have some vacation and a lot of stuff to do, so most likely I won't be very active every week, but I'm sure we'll be active next season also, even when I'm not racing, but as always. But maybe a little bit less than usual, as I have a lot of other things I want to focus on.
One last thing, we'll start with Togo here. I want you guys to get a chance to thank whoever you want to thank after a season-long battle.
Yeah, yes. Amazing season. You have a lot of close battles, and I think you have no contact for the season. That was huge. That was amazing. So thank you very much for the Pauli and the 17 communities under the GSRC broadcasting team.
Thank you very much, Pauli. Who would you like to thank for your most recent title? Yeah, well, first of all, whole community has been great this season. And also last season was super good. Also, we had new tire, and it seems like the Lotus 79 is really the best car right now. Like I'm sure all the drivers that have driven it for years say it always, but as now we can see that also the newcomers are thinking that this is a great car to drive, as it's a bit more unforgiving, forgiving car right now, so it's not so deadly as it used to be. So if you ever want to join the races, I say that join our Discord server and you will find some setups there, and it will get much better after that. And yeah, thank you for Toko. Like he said, we didn't have a single contact whole season, and I just want to point out that it's amazing. It's like it's something that never happens. Imagine we have raced every race side by side the whole season and not a single contact. It's amazing. Like that kind of things never happen with anyone, and that just shows how good driver Toko is. So thank you, Toko. This was blast. See you next season.
Love hearing these two talk. That was Pauli Partanen and Toga Hisada first and second today, and also a testament to the sportsmanship that those two have. Now, it sounds like Joey has caught up with, if we'll go from first to last year, with unfortunately last place finisher, but still a crowd favorite, Barry West.
Yeah, the Big Cat did finish 20th today, but it is the top split, so you made it into the big show. How you feeling, Barry?
I'm pretty gutted, to be honest. I had a really good start and just watching it back, and got a few places and personal best in qualifying, and then I think it was Guillermo dived at the inside of me in turn 3 and just knocked the steering out. So that was it. It was all race with damaged front, and I thought no point in going in the pits because I can do reasonable times, but I mean well over a second off best.
Well, you know, looking back at the season, I'm sure that you had a lot better races than what you had at Thruxton. And then also looking forward into the future, because Joe Peak mentioned it, we got rain tires coming to the Lotus 79.
Oh, yeah.
Are you excited about that?
I think that'll be great fun. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. Yeah, I mean, it's been an excellent season. I'd just like to thank Paulie and Togo for putting on such a show for everybody. It was really entertaining, and you know, it was a good contest, I think. But yeah, I think rain tires, especially here. You imagine rain here? It's going to be brilliant.
Yeah, 160 mile an hour corners with rain will certainly be pretty exciting out here. But we'll let you go, Barry. I know it wasn't the best of races for you here today, but look back on the season, enjoy all of the broadcasts that you were a part of. Is there anybody you want to give a shout out to?
Well, no, you guys put such on a good show. Yeah, and Paulie for organising, and Dylan and Keith. Yeah, really good community. Yeah, people come on down.
Love having this driver out here. I always call him the Big Cat. Barry West finishing in 20th place position here today, Joe.
Yeah, and really a testament to how these races mean something to everybody up and down the field, and people still manage to have fun. I mean, how do you even come up with thoughts for this one, Joey? Because the emotions were just so high coming into this race.
It was a classic race of drivers that we've seen through the years, from the Vintage Series, from the IMSA Vintage Series, from the Lotus 49 Series, and into the Lotus 79. So we heard Pauli say iRacing has done a ton of work with these cars, making them very drivable. If you've driven them in years past and you don't like the character of them, well, guess what? That character has changed. You can drive these cars, you can slide them, and we just saw one heck of a championship fight through 12 races long.
We've been spoiled. I don't know how they're going to stack up to that one, but a big thank you to the Lotus 79 community for bringing us back for another season of coverage as well. Thanks to iRacing for putting us on their official channel for this season, and to our team, Joey, Daniel, Christian, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media, our website, and our merchandise store. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment. Next race in the Lotus 79 is going to be Sunday, June 22nd at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. But up here on GSRC, we've got the POC heading to Montreal in a few days' time. Be sure to check out our other broadcasts. But until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.
This is iRacing.